Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode, I will discuss the astrology for the week of July 16th, 2023. There's still time to sign up for the Cancer New Moon Workshop, which is today at 3 p.m. Pacific Time. It's a great opportunity for setting intentions as well as learning astrology. And I will do as many hot take readings on participants' charts as I can. And so you can check the show notes or go to my website, astrologybyceleste.com, on the events page. This Saturday is also my eclipse talk for Synchronicity University, which is Nadia Shah's school. She's an amazing astrologer. I will be talking about eclipses, forecasting the future. So check the show notes for the information on that talk. The theme of this week is hot stuff, and there are three big things I want you to think about. The first is that tomorrow we have a new moon at 24 degrees of Cancer. And at the new moon, something is always being seeded. So it depends on your chart about how important this new moon will be to you and whether you'll see things materialize in your life. Cancer is cardinal water. Cardinal signs are initiating energy, and water signs are very intuitive. Water is mute, so it's more about the feeling body. Cancer rules our emotions, our feelings, home, family, and foundations. So it may be something about your home, literally. Like, are you going to do some renovations, or are you thinking about selling your home, or do you have, a leak or something in your house? Could be things that come up if your chart is activated. This energy is nurturing and caretaking and rules the mother. So notice stories in the news that come up around mothering and fertility and childbirth and that sort of thing. Now, shadow energies can be being very nativistic, where you only see the people in your own family or community or country as belonging to your group and working to exclude or other people who you see as different or outsiders. Feeling sorry for oneself or guilt tripping others and trying to get them to do what you want to do can be also shadow energies of this sign. So you can think about, how can you feel safe and secure within yourself despite all of the chaos that's going on around us in the world, as well as how can you use your emotions in a positive way? Speak your needs directly rather than trying to, manipulate others into doing what you want or feeling bad if you're not feeling good. If mommy's not happy, nobody's happy comes to mind. So being direct is the best path forward. There are so many interesting aspects in this new moon chart. This next month is going to be a wild ride for the collective. Some key things that jump out at me are that Venus is at 28 degrees of Leo, and that is the degree that it's going to station to go retrograde at. So it's a hot degree. Yeah, and it's also at the tip of a yod. So Venus is separating from its quincunx to Neptune and applying to its quincunx to Pluto. Quincunxes are that 150-degree aspect where they move us into new situations where we have to release and let go of something. And Neptune in Pisces and Pluto in Capricorn are in a sextile at the base. So the yod is the finger of God. And one of the things in the news when the same yod was forming, but it was Mars at the apex rather than Venus, so it was Mars in Leo, was that the violence erupted again in the Israel-Palestine conflict, where Israel's military went into a city in the West Bank under the guise of rooting out terrorists, but it's erupted a bunch of violence again in that area of the world. Venus has associations with peace, but it's stationing to go retrograde. So this story may have something to do with the Israel-Palestine conflict or conflict somewhere else in the world. The North Node at this new moon is at 0 degrees and 0 minutes of Taurus, meaning the South Node is at 0 degrees and 0 minutes of Scorpio. And it's parallel Hygeia, the North Node is. And Hygeia is the asteroid of public health. My big concern about this is heat stroke. July 4th of this year was the hottest day ever recorded on Earth. So yeah, I'm very concerned about that and potential for power outages in the United States. Mercury in Leo, a fire sign. Fire brings heat, is at the midheaven of the chart for the US and squaring Jupiter. Jupiter makes everything bigger. Jupiter in Taurus, an earth sign. So yeah, we may be seeing just unbelievable heat waves during this lunation. And Mars in Virgo is approaching an opposition with Saturn and Pisces. It's a mutually applying opposition because Mars is direct and Saturn is retrograde. So they're moving towards each other. So some big things are going to go down this week, likely, as well as during this cycle that are of a malefic nature. Malefics take away from life. Mars and Saturn are the malefics. The lunar nodes move backwards through the zodiac. So we are at the end. This is the last day of the North Node being in Taurus. So I wanted to just give some highlights on the stories that came up in the collective about Taurus topics. Taurus rules resources and money, as well as it's an earth sign, so it's related to the earth. So think about what has gone on since January 18th of 2022 when the North Node entered Taurus. There was the crypto collapse when the FTX exchange imploded. There was rising inflation and the Fed in the United States kept increasing interest rates. There was the infrastructure bill, Build Back Better. Silicon Valley and signature banks failed. China and Brazil ditched the US dollar. There was the food supply issues in terms of the baby formula crisis and the grain shortages due to the war in Ukraine and egg shortages due to rising energy prices and the bird flu. In terms of Scorpio topics and shadow Scorpio with the South Node, the Ukraine war started where the collective was faced with images of extreme cruelty, violence, and domination. Netflix aired a series about the serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer, who ate his victims. A killer Scorpio eating his victims, Taurus. The criminology student was charged with murder of the 4 Idaho College students. Yeah, the Uvalde school shootings. And there's been a lot about state surveillance and control, which is very Scorpionic because Pluto and Mars co-rule Scorpio, and Pluto, we really feel like surveillance and control. Roe versus Wade was overturned, and there are all these abortion pill laws and anti-trans bathroom bans and the trans swimmer fury about that. So these are some of the stories that just jump into my mind about what we were seeing during that transit of the nodes. The next thing I want to make you aware of is that tomorrow, on the same day as the new moon, the North Node will enter the sign of Aries. So the North Node will move to 29 degrees of Aries, and the South Node will move to 29 degrees of Libra. So the work for the collective will shift and change, and it will become in a lot of ways more personal. Aries is the sign of I am, and Libra is the sign of I partner. So thinking about what it's going to mean when the North Node is in Aries, I mean, fires and heat is a big thing that is just coming to me with, there have been fires raging in Canada for months that are impacting the United States, in addition to Canada, obviously, where the fires are drifting down, poisoning the air, causing illness and misery. Yeah, so I think this is going to be a big story as the earth heats up more and more. There'll be a lot about having to defend one's self rather than rely on your state or city or local municipality, especially for people in cities. Domestic violence, we'll probably see some very high profile domestic violence cases come to life with the South Node in Libra. I'm also very concerned about the breakdown of civility. Pluto's back in Capricorn, but we've already gotten a taste of Pluto in Aquarius, where we'll see a lot of the shadow sides of what happens when groups of people get together and can cause a lot of havoc. I think there will be more and more attempts to erode women's rights about their fertility as well as other issues. And the judiciary, both in the United States and maybe in Israel, because they have had a lot going on where Netanyahu has tried to take power away from the judiciary, but we're seeing a lot of exposure of corruption of our Supreme Court judges in the United States. So there'll be a lot about the judiciary with this transit. So I'll keep you posted on what comes up. So the official date are July 17th, 2023 to January 11th, 2025. That's when the North Node will be in Aries. So think about how you can cultivate independence. That's an Aries word. Trust your instincts. Be decisive and direct. Think about taking some calculated risks. Speaking your truth, asserting your needs. Now, some things to think about with letting go of the shadows of Libra energy are releasing codependence. How can you enforce healthy boundaries, avoid people pleasing, stop swallowing anger? How can you have healthy anger and stop going along just to get along? The last thing I want to make you aware of is that Venus, which is the planet of love, beauty, harmony, and relationships, will station to go retrograde at 28 degrees of Leo, a fire sign that rules children and recreation. Leo also rules royalty and celebrity. We are going to be seeing so many stories around celebrity surprise breakups or get-togethers. And when a planet goes retrograde, it has the ability to delay or reverse things or destroy anything that's contemplated. So some people are going to be going on vacation or having a big party, and there'll be some disappointment around it. Do not get any plastic surgery that is unneeded or like big changes in beauty during the retrograde phase. There is the potential for disaster. Now, not everyone will have a disaster, but if your chart is activated, it can be symbolic of you making some big beauty change and being very disappointed with the results. The transit runs from July 22nd to September 3rd. I would wait a couple of weeks on the other side before doing anything cosmetic that is not necessary. Relationships that begin under this period can have a lot of twists and turns and reversals, potentially. They're not doomed, but there can be some difficulties, and relationships that are ongoing can have some difficulties as well. It is a good time to consider how can you put more energy and emphasis on your relationships? How can you bring some more harmony and balance? Be willing to put in some extra work, especially for long-term relationships where you feel like, where you're just kind of running on routine. It's a wonderful time to think about how can you bring some more of the love and the romance back into your relationships. I had a Venus Retrograde Workshop a few weeks ago. You can check the link in the show notes or my website to purchase the recording. It's over 3 hours. You can watch it in chunks, but it was really great. People loved it. And I did 17 or so hot take readings, so you can really see how the astrology comes to life in people's natal charts. The ones I really have my eye on are President Joe Biden and Vice President Harris, as both of their charts are being activated by this transit. For Joe Biden, his Chiron. Chiron is the asteroid, the wounded healer. It also rules our marriage as well as our career. He has his Chiron at 28 degrees of Leo, and Vice President Harris has her Saturn at 28 degrees of Aquarius. So for Biden, this is a conjunction. Venus will conjoin his Chiron, and for Kamala Harris, Venus will be opposite her Saturn. So I wonder if she may have to step into the role of president during this time, or if potentially he will decide to pick another running mate. Now, we may not know this. This may be being seeded during this new moon. But yeah, these are two of the big stories that jump out at me. And I wonder, Venus on his Chiron, will he have a health crisis that requires her to step up? And it's in his 9th house of legal stuff. So it could be just that the House of Representatives issues impeachment stuff for him, or it could be about his son. So Hunter Biden is his 3rd child, and if you use derivative houses, he's the 9th house for Joe Biden. And Leo is on the cusp, and what a Leonic person Hunter Biden is. I mean, all of the videotaping himself doing ridiculous things for attention, the sex videos, the drug videos, all of that kind of stuff. And how, disappointing and wounding is this child for him. Biden also has his North Node in Virgo in the 9th house. So, there's something about his destiny, about having this child with all of these problems and issues that have caused him relentless headaches. You have to have some compassion for Hunter Biden. He was in a car crash that killed his mother and his sister when he was a child. So a lot of his behavior and the drug use may just come from, this trauma as a child. But recently, right around the full moon in Capricorn, where the sun was in Cancer, the moon in Capricorn, we can think about this is about family versus work. Hunter was in the White House and cocaine was found there. Now, it may not be his, it may be his, but there could be problems about this cocaine being found. Venus in Leo conjunct his Chiron that causes Biden a lot of headaches. So this Venus retrograde is a big deal for Joe Biden. I'm really interested to see how it plays out. Now, it also could be something about Jill Biden, but I'm not feeling that at all. Well, maybe, I don't know. Yeah. I'm also thinking about Putin. This could be a big cycle for Putin. He's a Libra sun with a stellium in Libra. This is also related to the South Node being in Libra, as well as Elon Musk has his South Node in Leo. So those are some of the people that I'm really watching for this transit. On Sunday, the word of the day is cancellations. We're in the balsamic phase. The moon is in Cancer. Balsamic is an emptying out period. It's a time to release. So for people who are wanting to travel, there could be experiencing a lot of cancellations, either due to heat, due to flights being canceled. This whole week is going to be very chaotic for people who are traveling potentially. So just be aware. Mercury in Leo is contra-parallel Saturn in Pisces, and that is standard news of cancellation. Contra-parallels are like oppositions or delays. Something could just be delayed. You get to the airport, your flight's delayed, that sort of thing. And Mars and Venus in Leo are also contra-parallel Saturn. So it's just such party pooper energy. So just be aware. There may be some difficulties. You probably could still get there. But yeah, some people are going to be having some issues. Mercury is on the fixed star Arcturus, which is the pathfinder. It's the hunter who begins to farm. How can you have flexibility if your plans need to change? Consider yourself role modeling for your kids during this time, if you have them, and how you're going to move through any frustrations without going ballistic or, think about that. Think about how you can role model positive behavior about how to behave when you have disappointments in life. On Monday, the word of the day is solitude. So this is a great day to take some time to yourself. The new moon at 24 degrees of Cancer is at 11:31 a.m. Pacific time. It's a great time to set intentions on what you want to grow in your life. Cancer is a fertile water sign, and having a ritual where you just sit down and do some journaling or some contemplation. You can go to my website and read the blog about the Cancer new moon if you're not on my mailing list, in order to get some ideas about journal prompts or prompts for contemplation. And Mercury in Leo will be squaring Jupiter in Taurus. They're both at 12 degrees of these fixed signs. Fixed signs hold the energy. This feels like massive heat to me. And it could be heat or hot-headedness or tempers flaring. And this is like going to activate Putin's chart because he has his natal Venus. His chart is rectified, so it's considered dirty data, but it's so accurate in my opinion from what is accurate about timing of things in his life. Is at 11 degrees of Scorpio is his natal Venus, thought to be in his first house. So this could be something where we hear news about him or some plans about him. I'm getting like forest fire energy. This can be, the Canadian fires. The moon will enter the sign of Leo at 9:39 p.m. Pacific time. So Leo energy is feisty. It's fun. It's dynamic. It's the ability to see the bigger picture, make the big plans, as long as you don't forget the details. Notice if you see people talking loud or having more fun, smiling, wearing red, being more dramatic. Yeah, I love a Leo moon, but yeah, tempers are flaring. So, most people will probably just have a very happy time, but I'm just making you aware of there can be a lot of difficulties in like vacations or recreation stuff or things dealing with children. On Tuesday, the word of the day is intrigue. There's not much going on in the sky. There's no major aspects, just the moon kind of going along. So notice what you hear that's very intriguing, or the news, maybe stuff about, I don't know, I'm getting like maybe stuff about spy stuff or it'll be really interesting. Think about what intrigues you. Can you do something that makes your partner feel intrigued, like something very sexy? Yeah, I would recommend that for this day. Wednesday, the word of the day is cooling. How can you stay cool despite either tempers flaring or extreme heat? Venus in Leo will be parallel Pluto in Capricorn. That's like a secret conjunction. It's an aspect of declination where it's like they're at the same level in the sky. So Pluto brings things to extremes, and Venus and Leo can be, a little hot-headed and showing up and showing out sort of thing. The movie Body Heat is the perfect movie to watch. And there's a scene with an ice cube in it. But think about your plans for staying cool, especially if you're somewhere like Texas that's got its own power grid. What are you going to do if there is some power blackouts? What is your plan? Can you have a cooler with a lot of ice in it? So think about that. On Thursday, the word of the day is creativity. The Sun in Cancer will trine Neptune and Pisces. They're both at 27 degrees of each sign. This can be incredibly creative energy. Some artists are going to do their best work on this day. Now, they're both water signs, so there will be like bad weather in some places. Think about, as well as with the cooling yesterday, do you have enough water in case there's some water problem? I would recommend people have some bottled water at home throughout this summer. Yeah, it's also a goddess day where the moon in Leo will conjunct Venus in Leo. This is great energy. Both of these planets are very feminine, internal. You can think about what sweetness can you bring into your life. The moon will enter the sign of Virgo at 10:12 a.m. Pacific time. Virgo is mutable earth energy. It's great for bringing order to chaos and doing mundane tasks that you don't really like to do. So you can think about if you need to change your, the batteries for your smoke detectors or things like that. I think are great things to do. Check your fire extinguishers, make sure your house is prepared for any kind of unexpected heat and fire issues. Now, Mars in Virgo will be opposite Saturn and Pisces, both at 6 degrees. This is one of the hardest aspects. Mars, the planet of war and conflict and action and energy, opposite Saturn. Saturn delays things. Saturn brings hardship. Saturn's like a heavy, wet blanket. They're both malefic, meaning they take away from life. So can you have creative solutions to problems that come up that brings delays and things like that slows things down? This is slow burn anger, where someone's been really mad for quite a while, and it just could be like at the end of it, someone can just go ballistic. So stay away from hotheads. Try to de-escalate situations. Give people space if they just need to be alone. Yeah, this makes me think about, those people who wore the Nike shoes where they had that. Saturn and Pisces can be like a crisis of faith that they all killed themselves. Yeah, that was during a Saturn and Pisces thing. It was really weird, this cult in San Diego. There may be some news about something like that during this day or leading up to this day, but hopefully not. This could just be difficulties traveling, but try not to get too critical of others or yourself. Mars in Virgo can be taking action to pick apart something. So keep that in mind. Friday, the word of the day is news. We have a waxing moon at 12 degrees of Virgo at 2:20 p.m. Pacific time. Waxing moons are a time where you see that crescent moon in the sky that looks like the D, and it's when things come to light. So on this day, the sun is opposite Pluto and square the node. So leading up to this day, some big things can be happening in the collective because they're all at the 29th anaretic degree, which is a karmic degree, which is a crisis degree about decay. So Sun at 29 Cancer, Pluto at 29 Capricorn, North Node at 29 Aries, and South Node at 29 Taurus. There can be some major world events, or maybe we'll be hearing about, President Biden said he's open to doing some things to block the sun's light to the earth in order to help with climate change. So Pluto obscures, so obscuring the sun. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. See if you see any news about something like that. There could also be like a volcano or an earthquake or some other natural disaster. It'll be important for people who have 29-degree planets. I have a couple, so I'm like, okay. Hopefully this is going to be something positive. We shall see. Yeah. And some people will be at a crossroads. This is a grand cardinal cross in the sky. The sun rules things like authority. It could be big news about a sun-like figure, which is like a world leader or a celebrity. Yeah, so see what we see in the collective. Mercury and Leo will trine Chiron and Aries, both at 19 degrees. So it may be someone getting sick or passing on. Yeah, I'd already mentioned, I've got my eye on Putin and Biden. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. On Saturday, the word of the day is courage. Venus will station retrograde at 28 degrees of Leo at 6:32 p.m. Pacific time. It's going to back it up to 12 degrees of Leo on September 3rd and then go direct again. So you're going to see things. It'll go back and forth over the same area in the zodiac. You can get the recording of the workshop if you want to dive deeper. The sun will enter Leo at 6:50 p.m. Pacific time, starting Leo season. We're in the heat of the summer. Leo is fixed energy. It's fixed fire. So can you think about how you can find joy despite any other circumstances that are going on in your life? Leo rules children. Leo rules pleasure, vacations, all of that kind of stuff. But how about a staycation? That's what I would recommend during this time. I do have to travel during this Venus retrograde. So, just be prepared for reversals or things like that. But yeah, can you have some joy and some pleasure during this transit? Pluto will square the nodes on this day. So the nodes have to do with the karmic fate and karmic destiny. So we'll see what happens. And then the moon will enter the sign of Libra at 10:54 p.m. Pacific time. And this will be the first time in the next couple of days where the moon hits the south node in Libra. So we'll see what happens. Chiron is going to station to go retrograde tomorrow. So there's something about this Venus and Leo retrograde and Chiron and Aries retrograde that are connected. And we'll see what that story is. I apologize. This is so long, but there was so much going on. This is going to be some kind of month with this new moon in Cancer and then Leo season and the retrogrades. And yeah, a lot is going to be going on. So stay present and aware, and it doesn't mean anything bad is going to happen in your own life, but it's just good to have awareness about what's going on around with others and try to have some forgiveness and grace, because some people are going to be having some real difficulties with this. It may just be like they're sweltering in their house, or it could be more significant, like their relationship is having problems. So that's it for this week's episode. Feel free to email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com with any astrology and action stories about what you've experienced throughout the week, or let me know how the daily themes are playing out for you. Take care, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.